All right. Uh, all right. Back to Archon. Going to download. I'm going to download the Archon mods again. Da, 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 da. Right. No. You know what? Let me just go to Star Wars. There. Okay. Not Daisy. Daisy. You're doing. Ah, Star Wars: The Old Republic. Yes. All right. So I'm gonna be playing some videos for you guys while we download uh Star Wars. So yep. Here we go. Here we go. Gonna go get myself a sandwich as well. So yeah. Be right back.
それ、英語が話せるようにならない原因です。単語覚えてるのに、文法もわかるのに、実はそれ、話してないだけです。オンライン英会話のネイティブキャンプなら、今すぐ話せる。しかも予約なしで好きなだけ話せる。まずは7日間無料で試してみて。
Oh. Right, here we go, guys.
Today I'm talking with Luke Caverns, an anthropologist and explorer who's flagged over 100 archaeological sites that aren't on any map. He's planning the largest LiDAR scan of the Amazon ever attempted.
What is he trying to see, Jeff Bezos naked?
Not that Amazon, the Amazon jungle.
Ah, that makes more sense.
LiDAR fires laser pulses from aircraft through the jungle canopy and maps what's buried underneath. And over the last few years, it's been revealing megacities and ancient highways, a civilization buried under the Amazon that nobody knew was there. Today we're covering that, the Minoans of Crete as Plato's Atlantis, and the Olmecs and their Jaguar priest cult.
Yeah, cult based on cats? Hard pass.
He also has a theory about what happened to Alexander the Great's body that I hadn't heard before. It's pretty interesting. As always, after the episode, I'll come back in and do a breakdown of what we covered, what I can prove, and what I can't. Until then, let's go down to the basement. Luke, welcome to the basement.
Hey, man. Thanks so much for having me here. This is amazing.
I'm so excited. I've got so much to talk to you about. We're going to go all over the ancient world. I'm not a professional. It's chaos. Just bear with me.
That's all right.
So I just want to start with, of all the sites that you've looked at, what was the one, or the one that sticks with you that makes you go, that is not natural. That's man-made. Do you have one favorite?
One that's now you mean as far as like a natural formation that I think looks man-made?
Yes, or something that you saw on LiDAR that maybe someone else didn't see.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's someone made that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's I'm running a project right now that I guess I'm announcing it right here for the first time. I don't have a name for the project, but it's a LiDAR project that I have been working on for about 3 years now across the southeastern U.S. And now it just expanded to the Amazon, which is crazy. So I was given access a few years ago to a LiDAR data set that a team put together when they were trying to map comet impacts across the United States. And anybody can get access to LiDAR of the U.S. The difficulty there is having a map that's been processed and the information has been condensed. Otherwise, your computer will just shut down. It's crazy.
What, they're just like giant raw images?
Yeah. It could be like hundreds of gigs of data. It'll just shut down your computer. So it has to be processed by a professional who really knows what they're doing. And so I was just lucky to be given that sort of data set. And so what they realized was, while they were looking for these comet impacts, they were finding mound sites. And they weren't anthropologists, didn't know anything about ancient history, but they're like, oh, Luke, I'm friends with one of them. His name's Chris. He sent it over to me. And so I started searching through it, and there was a lot that I had to teach myself about analyzing LiDAR and having to figure out what's natural and what's not, or what's modern and what's ancient. That can be a big thing. And
a lot of false positives with like flood zones.
And with dredging. So they'll try to clear up the sides of rivers, and they'll make what looks like just hundreds of mounds stringed together. Over time, you start to realize, like, oh, okay, these things are too sharp. There's so many of them together, So you learn how to process all that image data. And all in all, I've mapped at least like 82 archaeological sites in the United States. Probably a lot of them, probably so many of them are on private property that are not officially documented in books or papers that I could find, or maps that I could find. Now, that said, there may be some obscure papers out there that are aware of some of these, whatever. They're not popularly known. Some of them are massive, man. I've mapped sites that are way out in the forest in Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas. That's
How big
not
are we
just
talking?
Single structures that are 250 yards long.
Yeah,
250 yards long by 100 yards wide, and there's probably 5 or 6 of the structures all together. Some of them have, for anybody listening, you could look up something called the Hopewell Road, which look like these highways.
Huge, right?
Yeah, huge. And I've found structures that have those in them. And I have a friend who he's about my age, and he's more of like an open-minded archaeologist, and more accepting to, I guess, like outlaw archaeology, which is kind of what I do. Now I'm working with my team at Basemap. They are going to be providing me, and we've already scanned like some sites near Moundville. We discovered an ancient site near Moundville on private property, just amazing stuff. And so I'm working with them now, but essentially what we do is all these sites that I have mapped using USGS and charted, that's probably the resolution is very, very low. And these guys can go out there and scan something that's so precise that it's down to like a golf ball in resolution. And then they can build 3D models of the ancient city.
That's with satellite LiDAR? Or is that with on the ground?
No, it's their LiDAR. They have these LiDAR drones. They've got like a full-on bus. They brought it to my house a few weeks ago. It's cool. So I haven't announced this at all. This is the first time I'm talking about this. I've been working on this for a long time. But essentially what we're going to do is rebuild the Mound Builder world. And like all these cities that people aren't aware of, I find it using USGS LiDAR. Then either they go out there, or if I can go with them, I go with them. And we send a drone up, map it. It doesn't matter what property it's on because it's legal to map things with your drones. And then we can reconstruct the ancient city down to like a golf ball size resolution. And so I can have this huge 3D model of the city, and then I can virtually rebuild it using AI. Now, you have to get very particular, and you have to make sure it's historically accurate according to the sources, but we're going to start visually rebuilding the mound builder world, and we're going to do this with dozens of sites. And
well, the mound builder world, that spans thousands of years. Are you targeting
thousands of years? No, not targeting any one thing in particular.
Just mounds?
Yeah, we're not targeting like we were talking a minute ago. We're not targeting Adena or Hopewell or the Moundville sites or anything like that. It's just the sites that I have found and mapped, and so each one of them will have to be researched within the context of that site. So that's what we're working on now. And then we've got another LiDAR project that we're trying to get the permission for eventually, which is going to be in American Samoa. The Polynesian world is so untouched, and LiDAR can completely change that. And then I'm working with the Terra Incognita Research Institute. It's a group that's put together by a couple of archaeologists, and they are, it's sort of like independent archaeology, but these guys are credentialed, very, very well credentialed, like full on, very professional academics, and they're working on a project in the Amazon. And I can't say too much about this yet, but if we can complete this project and we can get the permits, myself, I'm going to go down and document it and essentially publicize it. The Basemap team will be the one who scans everything using their LiDAR technology. And then Terra Incognita Research Institute, they're the ones who will actually go out to the site, process the data. They're the guys who get all the permissions and everything. It'll be the largest LiDAR scan that's ever been done in the Amazon.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, ever been done.
Ever been done.
Mm-hmm. And we put together I don't know how much I can get into this, but we're putting together a proposal of just, it's myself and Basemap. We just played around with this idea, but of what it would cost to get the entire Amazon LiDAR and how long it would take.
Wow.
Yeah. And they can do it. If we could get the funding to do it, it could be done. And so we're just putting that together just to throw it out there to give people, it won't actually happen probably, but just to give people an idea that it is possible, and how much would it take for that to be possible. But if this goes through with Terra Incognita Research Institute and Basemap and myself, it'll be the largest LiDAR scan ever done in the Amazon.
I can't wait for that. You come from a long line of treasure hunters, cattle rustlers, outlaws. When did you realize that you were carrying on the family tradition in using methodology? Not so much a pirate. You're actually a scientist.
No, yeah. I'm not stealing anything anymore, but
when I first heard you talking about cattle rustling, I'm like, does he know that means stealing?
Yeah, they were they did some of those guys did a little bit of both, right? Like your day job would be cattle driving, your night job would be cattle rustling, so
Right.
they got and treasure hunting, which actually means looting and all that good stuff.
Yep.
So it started. My love for anthropology began when actually listening to my other grandpa, my mom's dad. He was a pastor and a missionary, and he loved the ancient world. And I would be, they would drag me to their like down home East Texas little church, and I'd listen to my grandpa preach, and they would have these old Bibles. And at the front and the back of the Bibles would be these watercolor paintings of some ancient Mesopotamian city. Sometimes it would be Egypt or something like that. And there might be a little map there, and it's all kind of watercolored and very sort of romantic looking. And during the whole time that I would listen to the sermon, still to this day, my favorite thing if I listen to a sermon is when they actually talk about the ancient biblical world, and you get to sort of hear what that would have been like. And then, it always gets dragged off into something else. But the coolest part is the history. And so I'd sit there looking at the maps, I'd look at the watercolor paintings and stuff, and I would just, every Sunday, I would just imagine, what were ancient times like? What were ancient times like? And over time, I began becoming dissatisfied with the way a lot of sermons would be told. Not my grandfather, but going to church with my parents or something. And I would be like, well, I wish that they would actually tell us more about what was life like for those guys.
What were they telling you that you were uncomfortable with? Just the morality?
A lot of sermons in church end up becoming like a motivational speech
Right.
about let me take this one verse and extrapolate it on a way and pull it totally out of its ancient context and make it relevant to you. It's like, the Bible's a masterfully written and put together book. You can actually just tell me that story and I will be able to get the meaning out of it.
Yes, you will.
Or if they want it to be more profound, educate the people that are in the church on the context of the ancient world in the world that those people are living in, and teach us the Bible in the way that they would have understood it, because that'll be much more profound than you trying to extrapolate this one verse and make it fit to me. I don't care about all that, and it never resonated with me. And so I remember I'd talk to my parents and be like, yeah, but what was that like? What was that like? And that was the beginning of me being an anthropologist, wanting to know, what is that life like?
Just day-to-day life.
Being an ancient person. Yeah. What are the struggles that you live with? Because I remember saying, I had this, what I thought was a profound thought when I was like a teenager, and I was like, the Bible's actually like a horror story. All those people's lives were awful. Nobody,
Okay.
It's like, I guess
Old Testament for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you look at the disciples, the things that they went through, the way that they all ended up, the struggles that they had. They're all impoverished. That's a really hard life, but that gets glossed over, with the modern church and everything. And so it was me really trying to dig into the ancient world and get a sense of what that was like. And once that started happening, I started realizing, wait, my whole perception, the way that I'm being taught about this isn't reflective of the ancient world. And so that was when my love for wanting to know what the ancient world was really like came from. The idea of wanting to be an explorer along with that, because that could just go into being an archaeologist or an anthropologist or a historian, and so it was that, coupled with my dad's side of the family, going back to the 1890s. Those guys are cattle drivers. They were the Parkers that are running cattle up and down. So they would take cattle to the Parkers in San Antonio, and so it was like West Texas to San Antonio. That's where they were operating, and hearing their stories of the search for the gold of these lost mines of Reagan Canyon, and this huge debacle that happens when they're trying to find that gold, and so many of the Reagan brothers die. And
well, tell us that story real fast. What do you mean? I love a debacle.
There's so many. There's not a lot that's known about that, but this is sort of a synopsis, and a lot of it, if you go to, especially here in the Southwest, like if you go to a used bookstore and you find a book called The Sons of Coronado or Lost Spanish Treasure or something like that, there will be a chapter in there about my family. And
this is the Reagan family.
Yeah. And so essentially what happens is, so they own these big ranches that are on these plateaus above in and around Reagan Canyon. And Reagan Canyon back in the 1500s was one of the places where the Spaniards would come through as they're, exploring the American Southwest, and in the 1600s as well. And there would be bandits that would sit up I guess all the way up to the 1800s, really. There would be bandits that would sit up in those hillsides, and they would sack these Spanish caravans coming through, kill everybody, drag the gold up into the crevices in these river sides, or I should say little canyon sides. It's all dried up. And so there's all these legends of this lost gold that's out there.
Ever notice how every nicotine option makes you choose between looking dumb, smelling bad, or carrying around some weird gadget that needs charging every 4 hours? There's got to be a better way. And that's why people are switching to Nic Nacs, myself included. Nic Nacs are fully dissolvable nicotine lozenges packed with real essential oils for real flavor. They come in both 3 and 6 milligram strengths and 9 delicious flavors. Right now, I'm loving the tangerine. It's my go-to when I'm needing an afternoon pick-me-up. And the best part? You can use them basically anywhere. Planes, work, concerts, road trips, wherever. No smoke, no clouds, no pouches littered everywhere, no awkward eye contact with security guards. Just pop one in and continue to pretend like you're a high-functioning adult. That's what I do. Go to nicnac.com/yfiles and use code YFiles for 20% off. Or use the store locator to find Nic Nacs near you. Nic Nacs, all the flavor, all the freedom, none of the circus. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's why I like it.
And so, in your free time, you just dream of they probably weren't wealthy, even though they own this land. It's still a tough life. They dream of having some big apartment in San Antonio and having a wagon or something like that. And so so they spend their time walking around in the hills looking for gold, and they never really find anything. Well, there's this young boy named Bill Kelly who arrives on a horse, or maybe he was on a mule. I think he's riding a mule. And he was an African Mexican boy who probably was a slave in Mexico, and he's fleeing to the United States. And so when he arrives, he doesn't have anywhere to go. So my family just takes him in, and he starts working for my family on their ranch. And he is driving some of the cattle around to new grazing spots. And it was actually him and one of the other brothers that are out there. They see a crevice in the mountainside, and they go over and explore it. And it's this open mine that had, nobody knows when the mine was. Nobody even knows where the mine is today. Something I'd like to do is go back out there. There's two places where my family is heavily involved in the American Southwest. One is in New Mexico. One's in West Texas. I fully remapped the one in New Mexico.
You did?
Yeah, I could tell you that story.
You went out there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been out there 3 times. And it's on my grandfather's. I'll tell you about that in just a second. But so staying in the 1890s, they find that mine and they pull out all the gold, but there's no specifics of okay, well, what was in there? They just know that it was treasure, it was gold, it was, wealth, whatever.
But they found gold?
As the story goes.
Sure.
I have no idea where this gold is today, but yes, they found gold, they found treasure. And so essentially it launches into this huge Game of Thrones of who really found it? Bill Kelly tries to run away with some of the gold. Some of the brothers try to run away with some of the gold. Anyways,
this old story.
Yeah, it's this old story, and there's so many different ways that the story is told. I've never read a book that actually. I've never read 2 books that tell the story the same way. But essentially, only one of the brothers makes it out of this huge debacle. You don't even know if he actually made it with some of the money, and the story just ends. But my family lineage somehow disappears from West Texas and reappears in East Texas, and they're now involved in oil.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, exactly. So that's it. So there's this gap of maybe a decade or more, and all of a sudden my family is in East Texas, and now they're involved in oil and very wealthy and everything. And so they're involved in oil in East Texas, and that would be my great grandfather. His son, Leslie Reagan, has this idea of also wanting to be an explorer and a treasure hunter and everything. And I should say, just as a preface, none of this money exists today. Nothing that I do is bankrolled by my family lineage or anything like that. But so my grandfather, Leslie Reagan, he has this dream of also being an explorer. And so,
what was he doing instead?
Well, he was just managing the family oil business. Like they had a private airport and private jets and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so yeah, it's wild.
Where's your trust fund?
I know. I wish we had. I wish we had any of this today. Because man, all this LiDAR stuff I'm talking to you about. I would have done this years ago.
Of course.
But so he goes off to New Mexico to try to find this legendary place called Coronado's Seven Lost Gold Mines, or the Seven Lost Gold Mines of New Mexico. And this is written about in, I think it's True West magazine. They did like 3 magazines on my grandpa. I should have brought this for you. This
would have been cool.
Next time I'll bring you something. Yeah, you can buy these on eBay for like $2. So
we'll throw them up on screen.
Yeah. So he tries to go out there to find these legendary lost gold mines, and he wants to get into gold mining in general. So this police officer that lives in this town, I won't say what town, but this police officer that lives in the town essentially knocks on his trailer door. They all lived in the chrome trailers and everything, and said, hey, I know you're out here looking for such. I've been doing this for years as well. You should come with me. We don't really know how long the time period is between them beginning to look for these lost gold mines and actually finding them, but they do find them. And by 1955, 1956-ish, they found the gold mines, these old Spanish gold mines, and expanded them and turned it into, I shouldn't say the company name either, but
well, in the 50s, this is somebody's land, right? Did they buy?
This is my grandpa's land. Yeah. Well, okay. Now he bought it. Yeah. But it was actually state land.
Sure.
Yeah. So he buys it from the state. He has like a claim on it. But I think he actually owned the land rather than just having a claim. And so he expands this and turns this into a full-blown gold mining company. And the way that it got it's tough, because if I say the name, you can go find it. But and I don't want people like walking around out there. But one of the legends that he would tell my family was that at night, when they were camping out at the gold mines, you could hear these bells like ringing, like ding, 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 ding. And they're very, very faint. And he never actually found the source of the bells. But what he thought it was that when the Spaniards were mining out these, when in their gold mines, they would have canaries, but they would also have bells. And if the bells are moving, you would know that the air is
Sure.
moving. You're getting clean air through the mines. And so that's like one of the main legends around these mines. And I've been out there, I've listened, I can't hear the bells. They're probably rusted away since he opened them back up. But so he found this place called the Seven Lost Gold Mines of New Mexico, or Coronado's Seven Lost Gold Mines. Ultimately, he expanded it to between 38 to 42 different mines.
Wow.
It was a really, really profitable operation, and a smelter ended up exploding. 1 or 2 guys died during this, and this was in a time, this is 1962 or 63, this was in a time where, like, if you were in a business partner with somebody, especially out in the middle of nowhere, they could run away with the money and never see them again. And so my grandfather's business partner ran away with everything, and my family was financially destitute. I mean, like, no money at all. Nothing.
So the mines were dry?
No, they weren't dry. They had to close in most of them. There's a few of them that were still open, like at least 3 of them are still open. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Still
it's
mining?
3. No. But the
Right.
portal is there. He closed in everything, and he, at least in the 1960s when this was more easily done, he still owned the land, I believe. He still had a claim on it. Closed all the mines, and he made new maps. And none of the maps have the actual location of the property on them. So he thought one day he'd be able to build up the money to go back and reopen them, so that he kept the claim on them. And I don't think the claim was relinquished until like 1989. So, several years after he passed.
And he didn't mark the mines, I guess, to
not
protect them?
on the maps, exactly,
Right.
to protect them. And so I inherited these maps 4 years ago. And I inherited everything that he had found. Oh, I should also say that when they were down in these mines, he would discover, Native American threads and pottery and like textiles and stuff. And so he'd bring them back up, and then when the wind would hit them, they would disintegrate in his hands. So there's pottery and things that he's found, and I found Native American pottery when I was out there too. He'd find all these artifacts, and they would all disintegrate. Of course, he didn't know how to preserve them. He wasn't an archaeologist, but he's fascinated about all this. And
you were able to hold on to some of that stuff.
we have them in boxes at my parents' house in North Carolina.
And you plan to show those to the public at some point?
No. This wasn't. Yeah, this wasn't that kind of thing. This was like those were his personal treasures.
Right.
He was in it for the gold money, right? And the excitement and the adventure, and I think the local fame. Like, he was known in Texas, right? And I guess the magazines, like he liked that. So this is treasure hunting,
yes,
full on treasure hunting for notoriety and wealth, right?
And Americans were crazy for these stories then.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't think he had any intentions of like putting them in a museum in Albuquerque or anything like that. So now they just sit at my parents' house. And so I got these maps, and I was just like, I'd asked my dad, I said, Dad, when's the last time somebody went out here? And he goes, well, I don't really know, but I bet you I know the last time that it happened. And he told me he had a vague memory of sitting in a car with his mom out in the middle of the desert while his dad and some other guy that he was with got out of the car, and they were gone for like hours until nightfall. And he just remembers sitting in this car for hours with my mom. And he was like, I bet you I was there. And my dad and some other guy went to go look at the mines. And he's like, I think he told me that was the 70s. He said that was probably the last time that anybody was ever really out there. And he didn't know where it was. My dad didn't have the first idea. Now, my dad, I should say, he's a lover of history. My dad was a cave explorer, like when he was probably about my age and younger than me, in Missouri. He explored and mapped caves. He was like a spelunker, or a speleologist, I should say, sort of amateur speleologist. Loves America.
That's the word for a spelunker now? Speleologist?
Maybe so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so. And so he has this sense of adventure in his own unique way that wasn't based on like lost Spanish gold or anything like that. Loves American history, just obsessed with American history. And then my dad had to climb his way out of this like financially destitute place that my family ultimately ended up in. And then it was me, I was kind of more able to inherit what my grandfather and other grandfathers had, that sort of spirit that they had. But so anyways, I was obsessed with finding the location of these mines and where they were at. So they're all drawn by hand by my grandfather. And of course, he's drawing it by walking around, and he's doing it by eye, right? So it's not exact, not even close to being like what you could see on satellite imagery. And so I had to spend, the only thing I knew was the city that they were based out of. So they were based out of this one tiny little town, and I have this vast open wilderness around it that I have to map. And so it took me 9 months to find the location on Google Earth. And he didn't even have north-south marked on the maps either.
No.
It took me 9 months.
What did you find?
So I knew that I found the location. It was just like I could tell.
These are the mines? You found the 7 gold mines?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I found. So it's like weird. Like he found them, and then he made sure that nobody would know where the location was. So then I found them. Yeah, it was cool. So I took a friend of mine, and a couple months later, we drove out to New Mexico, and we cut a bunch of locks and drove through a bunch of private property straight out into the middle of nowhere, and we found I confirmed it on the ground, and I'm walking around out there and picking up these like old bottles and cans that are out there. It doesn't look like anybody had been there. There's no, from the map and from Google Earth, you can see where these paths are, where these old cars would have been driving around there, but you can't see anything when you're actually there in person. There's no remnants left of the little roads, but there's old like pocket whiskey glasses. And
could you feel it though? I mean,
yeah, man.
You had to be thinking, was this Grandpa's whiskey?
Well, I looked into that. So there was I forget what the name of the brand was, but I one of my buddies he's got Grok like satellite, and so we would ask Grok a bunch of questions, and he would tell me about it. And we found this one really expensive pocket whiskey It was the bottom half of the glass that was broken, and it still had the label, the brand name on it. And so we looked it up, and it was a very expensive pocket whiskey. It must have been his.
Yes.
And so I kept every little thing I could put in like a plastic bag. I kept all of it with me. I even had like rusted cans and, just stuff that I know must have been his.
I would have done the same thing. Just gather it all up.
Yeah. And there's more out there too. There's so much more. Like every time I've gone back, I find more laying on the ground.
What about the mines? Did you get in there?
I want to go back, but I want to go back and do it properly.
That means
mines. No. Well, I don't want to admit to doing anything illegal, but no, I want to go back
is just
in
stories.
with.
Who knows if it's true?
Yeah, I want to go back in with something that can monitor the air quality, because it only takes a couple seconds to die from toxic air in a mine.
But you did
All
see
right,
the old.
guys. All right. I'm gonna continue playing the video. I'm actually eating my sandwich here now and drinking my mug of milk and turmeric. But I would also have to. Goodness. I am going to keep an eye out on my laundry as well. So yeah. I'll let's go back into the video.
Things.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I went really close to going down in one. I went probably 20 feet in one that was open. I mean, there was one of them that's like as open as this room is, and it just goes back forever. In fact, I saw a very endangered species in one of them, the black-footed ferret. They're critically endangered in New Mexico, and there was one sitting up on a ledge. It was looking at me, and I didn't realize it was there until it started moving, and it ran off, and I was like, that wasn't a rat. That wasn't what was that? And so I was like going through species that live in mammals that live in New Mexico, and I found a black-footed ferret, and I was like, oh, I actually found where one of them live. And obviously, because it's like 25 miles out in the wilderness, right? It's not around humans at all. So that was cool. But there's a main shaft opening. There's two other ones. That was kind of like a periphery mine that's way off to the east. The main central area, there's two. So basically you would have like one shaft that descends down at 45 degrees. So it descends down at 45 degrees. It heads west. And then there is a refuge shaft that comes straight up. That's probably like 150 feet up. So it's just this hole. Like you walk out in the middle of the desert, and there's just a massive 15-foot by 15-foot wide hole, and it's so deep that no matter how close you get to the edge, you can never see the bottom, and you can feel the air like shooting out of it. Like you can feel the air hitting you as you walk up to it.
So there's no structure, platform, nothing, just a hole.
Well, I threw a rock down there, and you can hear it go ding, ding, and it hits all this metal. So there's structures down there, and so my dad went, and one of my other family members. Must be like a cousin of mine, but a niece of my dad. She had 5 other maps that we didn't have, and so we got those from her, and they were actually of the mine layouts. And this was after I had been to the sites, so I was now able to actually see how the mines worked and interconnected with each other under the ground.
Who drew those maps?
My grandfather. Yeah, so he was a cartographer. He drew all of this stuff.
Where did she find those? Those would have been helpful.
She inherited them. Yeah. So like two different, my uncles and my dad inherited some of the maps and I think all the artifacts. And she, because her father was my dad's brother, right? She ended up getting some of the interior maps. So it was kind of split up. So now I have everything other than the artifacts of my grandpa's gun. Everything is in my office. Like all the maps, everything. I've got them all like framed up, and some people online, sometimes there's photos of my office that I've posted, and you can see the maps. But yeah, all drawn out by my grandpa, and so much of it went unexplored. There are these huge shafts, and these are diorite mines, so they're probably still stable. I just have to know that the air quality is good enough to go in them. But these massive shafts that he'd shine a flashlight down, and there was no end to it. And so he has written on the map, it would say dug out by Spanish, unmapped. Dug out by Spanish, unmapped.
That's crazy.
So they'd been there for hundreds of years, and he never got to explore everything. And down at the bottom of this 150-foot shaft, there's this massive open room with these other tunnels that head off, but they had collapsed and he hadn't explored them. And it's very expensive to go in and like shore it all up to make sure it's safe. And so it's just this massive sprawling mine complex. And I would very much like to get lower down into them to be able to explore them, but I've got to do it with the right equipment. It's expensive to put together, but I definitely want to monitor air quality. Now,
so what would be the bad air down there? What would cause that?
I don't know if I can explain it like a geologist does, but essentially, if there's not enough ventilation, the oxygen will get sucked out of a room, and it'll be, I guess you could say it's filled with toxic gas, but sometimes it's just like it's like when people are sitting in their car in a garage and the garage fills with carbon monoxide and then they die. You're out. You're gone. Right. And sometimes there's some gases that can build up in mines that there's tons of people who they're walking around in the desert. There's this big mine opening. They go, oh, what's it? They fall asleep immediately. One inhalation of that, it interacts with your brain, basically shuts your brain off. You fall unconscious and people just fall straight into a mine. Now, my grandpa, what he always wrote about them was that they were clean aired mines. Like if you read the magazines, they're granite and diorite mines. And so something about that makes them safer inherently. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I just didn't want to take the risk. So, but I am going to go down in them with like a full on team and everything. And we're going to explore them. But I was just there a few months ago, and yeah, when I'm there, it's one of those things where it's like, this is a special place. Like
it
this
really
is. This is, there's probably this one specific place on the planet. My family probably has more connection to this one specific place than anybody else on the planet ever has, because it's just out in the middle of the wilderness, right? And yeah, I sit there, and even though I don't own the property, it's like spiritually, I'm like, yeah, this is my place. My grandfather's dreams lived and died here. And my grandpa thought about this place for the rest of his life.
Do you think he'd be proud to know that you took up the mantle?
Yeah, man. I just went on this expedition in the Gila Wilderness recently. And so I'll give up a little bit of a teaser of where this is.
Working hard and still watching debt eat your paycheck? Every day you wait, that balance is costing you more. PDS Debt can fix that. Minimum payments are designed to keep you stuck. PDS Debt helps people stop juggling multiple payments and roll everything into one lower monthly payment. They may even be able to reduce up to half of what you owe on credit cards, personal loans, and medical bills. And it starts with a free 30-second assessment. There's zero credit impact, no minimum credit score required, and savings start the day you complete the assessment. If you've been making payments every month and still feel like you're going nowhere, you are not alone. PDS Debt is the top-rated company in the industry with thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating on the BBB. Look, I know a lot of you are carrying debt that you don't talk about. I have been there. And I want you to know that there is a way out. And that's exactly what PDS Debt is there for. Get your free 30-second personalized assessment today at pdsdebt.com/basement. That's pdsdebt.com/basement. pdsdebt.com/basement.
The mines are also in the Gila Wilderness. And
too much.
Yeah, I won't. But the mines are also in the Gila Wilderness, and one of those magazines describe him as a Gila explorer. And it's cool because it's our country's first designated wilderness area, and so there's some history there. And I don't know if people realize this, but like my connection to my grandfather on
there's a Gila Wilderness.
Yeah, my connection to my grandfather on my dad's side is only through stories and through like spirit.
You didn't know him?
No, I never actually knew him. It's this shadow that looms over my life.
Doesn't it drive you crazy? Don't you wish you could just sit with him and ask him questions?
Oh yeah. I was the night before I left. I went on the expedition. I was listening to these old like 1950s. One of my favorite songs is "Cattle Call," and these old 1950s Western music. And I just imagine like I know that this is what he was listening to, and I'm packing for the expedition. And it just like it was the first time it hit me this hard, and I was like, I went up and I sat on the edge of my bed, and my wife was like going to bed, and I just like started crying. And I was like, I just can't believe I don't know him. I was like, I know him because I am so much like him, and in everything that I do, it's like embedded in me. Like I look at my hands, you know, I probably have ticks and little weird things that I do that are him.
For sure you do.
And but I don't know him in person, you know. And that's kind of one of those things is my dad, he told me one time, he's like, you know, maybe you'll be out in New Mexico or on an expedition at some point and you'll have a dream and he'll visit you or something. And
you believe that stuff?
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm done with my dinner break now. Hung my clothes out to dry. Okay. So wait. Okay. Right, so let's go ahead and play Knights of the Old Republic. It's done downloading already. Yeah, there you go. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. What the hell? Oh, god dang it. Oh, I'm not able to play Star Wars. I'm not able to. Alright, well, we'll have to continue, but yeah, for this one, I will have to uninstall Star Wars The Old Republic. What else can I play now? Uh, hmm. Probably play Battlefield 5. Yeah. But I'm gonna have to download Battlefield 5 again. So we will have to watch or continue watching the Y files. Yeah, we'll have to continue watching the Y files. So let's see here, Battlefield. Well, Battlefield 5, but here, where is it? All right. We are going to watch another Y-Files podcast. Hope you guys are going to enjoy it. Let's see here. Y-Files. Y-Files.
Who's that Pokemon?
Yeah, this one, Joshua Cutchin.
Hey everyone, I'm really excited to share this game with you. It's a strategy game inspired by Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. You get to build your fleet, explore the universe, and survive.
Ubiquitous as the gray alien was in the 90s.
Today, I'm talking with Joshua Cutchin, a researcher who spent the last decade building the case that every paranormal phenomenon we've ever recorded is a different facet of the same thing. UFOs, fairies, Bigfoot, ghosts, near-death experiences. His book, Ecology of Souls, argues that all of it connects to death, or whatever's on the other side of it. This theory is being taken seriously by serious people. Jeffrey Kripal at Rice University teaches it to his PhD students.
Yeah, listen, people are not gonna like this theory.
Today, we're covering how he built that theory, what the fairy literature gets right that ufology keeps ignoring, and his latest book, Fourth Wall Phantoms, which is about fictional characters that cross into real life.
Oh, that one's true. One day on Hollywood Boulevard, I saw Spider-Man, Thor, and two SpongeBobs.
We also talked about how ChatGPT is addicted to goblins. This is a true story. You're going to want to hear it. After the episode, I'll do a quick breakdown of what we covered and what I can prove. Now, let's go down to the basement.
Josh Cutchin is here. Welcome to the basement.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm still in shell shock, but
Are you?
yeah, it's just it's a lot to take in, and it's always I'm always under the assumption that people have no idea who I am. So, hot dog vendor. Remember I said that
Yeah.
earlier. So
No, people
yeah.
in this space know who you are.
Well, I appreciate it, and everybody here has been so welcoming and hospitable. So it's wonderful to be invited into this fairyland, the subterranean fairyland, really.
Everyone's nice because you're nice. Not nice people don't get to the studio. We send them home.
Fair enough. Fair
Goodbye.
enough.
So you study tuba.
I said to my wife, I said, there's going to be an icebreaker question. I know exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be the tuba question.
Tuba under Fred Mills, Canadian brass, one of the best players of his
Yes.
generation. He says that the tuba is underestimated as a storytelling instrument. You're a storyteller and a tuba player. Do you agree?
I would.
What are we missing?
Yeah, no, I would. So yeah, oh man, we could do a whole podcast about Fred Mills stories. They broke the mold with Fred. I worked with Fred at the University of Georgia in the quintet setting. Which if you're going to work in a brass quintet setting with Fred Mills, who was head of the Canadian brass, it's quite a privilege. But yeah, the tuba it gets pigeonholed a lot as being like the jokey, farty kind of instrument.
Yes.
But it really has so many different types of characters that it can be. There's a powerful and there's a menace to it. If you go back and listen to some of those John Williams scores, you've got Jim Self playing a lot of these tracks and these themes, and like Home Alone, there's a playfulness to it.
That's
and
true.
Sort of an impishness to it. So
I think of Peter and the Wolf.
yeah. Well, and it's just I think that it's kind of been an interesting journey for me because I go into the music space where I have a lot of my friends, and gig, because that's a big part of still what I do. And they're always like, so what's up with the UFO thing, Josh? And then I go into the UFO space and they're like, what, the tuba? Like, where does this come? So I kind of feel like outsider everywhere.
Well, yeah, you're the jazz playing, tuba playing UFO researcher researching alien food offerings. So how did that? What was your household like? Is the weird stuff always around?
Well, that's a really good question. And so as far as this current author journey that I'm privileged to be on, the only person in high school who really wanted me to go into music was my high school band director, because as we were saying a little bit earlier, I always had to work at the music stuff. The writing stuff just kind of tumbled out of me. But as far as my household growing up, I've always kind of been befuddled by people who say, I grew up in a conservative Christian household, and we weren't allowed to talk about ghosts or anything strange or supernatural. And I grew up in a household that pretty much acknowledged the fact that the Bible is the most paranormal book ever written.
Of course.
Yeah.
But was it like a heavy Christian upbringing?
Yeah. I mean, at the time I didn't think so, but now in 2026,
Sure.
I don't know, or vice versa. I just thought it was, just basic North Carolina Christian home. But yeah, there was never a hesitancy to say, like, yeah, people see strange things, My father claimed, maybe this could be in your fact check at the end of the episode, my father claimed to have subscribed to a newsletter that the BFRO had at one point. So, so we wrote...
The BFRO?
The Bigfoot, Field Researchers Organization. Yes. So we were always talking about Bigfoot, and that really was my first love, was Bigfoot. So there never was a concerted effort to shut down these areas of inquiry. And I came to the UFO question rather late because I was kind of perceiving a lot of the skeptical arguments, like, why are there so many types of craft? Why are there so many different types of entities? I can believe that we're being visited by one species, but not 240. I sort of Goldilocks my way there, as is obvious from me sitting in the basement. But yeah, it was a very supportive household in terms of just being curious about stuff.
So your dad, Bigfoot, you started with Bigfoot. I've got friends. They're fascinated by Bigfoot. I'm not. Like, my audience wants Bigfoot stories all the time. I'm like, really? The hairy ape thing? What is it about Bigfoot that's so awesome?
I think that...
Is he the tuba of the cryptids?
I mean...
Is he underappreciated?
I mean, yeah, kind of a punchline. Yeah, I can definitely see that. No, I think that part of what it is about Bigfoot, it's the same thing that we see when we see chimpanzees. It's like, this is so close to what we are, but not. And if Bigfoot is a relic primate... which I don't think it is, but if it is,
you don't think he's
even closer?
A primate?
I think it's more in line with the UFO thing. I think that it's something that loves wearing that as a mask.
Yeah.
Because there's so much. This is awfully early in the discussion to be derailed by Bigfoot, but
well, I mean, we'll get into trickster and all that stuff later.
But I think that there is so much symbolism embedded in something like the wild man archetype, that I think that it's a great mask for this thing to call us back into right relation with the environment, to remind us that the edge of town is still a precarious place, right? And I think that, to paraphrase my co-author and friend Timothy Renner, I think that the wild man archetype is still out there, and a lot of times it manifests as footprints and howls in the night, and on especially rare occasions you're lucky enough to see this archetype somehow embodied. And it's kind of weird because Bigfoot's having a moment right now. It's been having a moment for the past 10 years or so. We could probably go out in the parking lot across the street and find at least one car with a Bigfoot decal. It's as ubiquitous as the gray alien was in the 90s, I think. And I think that says a lot about where we are at this moment in terms of being severed from our naturalistic origins. I think it says a lot about a lot of the ecological anxieties that we see. I think Bigfoot has become an avatar for that part of ourselves that really wants to go back to the forest.
It's interesting that you said it on the edge of town, because I think liminality and thresholds are going to come up a lot today. I think.
They tend to follow me, yeah.
What's your take on the Patterson film?
Oh boy! So this is the part where I make half the people mad and half the people happy.
That's the world I live in. Is everyone's angry?
Yeah, I mean, I'd heard rumblings a while back that it wasn't everything that it was cracked up to be. I think that, look, at the end of the day, it's a remarkable bit of footage, right? Because it's either proof of Bigfoot or it's a hoax that lasted coming up on 60 years, mm-hmm. And I think either way, it's incredible and should be regarded as that way. I think that it's fascinating to me that 90% of Bigfoot iconography is based on a possible hoax now. It's always the same pose.
Yep.
But yeah, I feel like the real people who lost out on this possible outing of the Patterson film as a hoax are probably the forensic analysts, because if you can't get to the bottom of this over 60 years, how foundational is this science, right? Are we incarcerating people with the same techniques that were used to analyze the Patterson-Gimlin footage? But,
I tried to debunk it in my Bigfoot episode. I couldn't. It's good.
It's great, and look, and that's what a lot of my work in recent years has sort of been angling towards, is just taking the pressure off of any one of these things so that I don't have to have my entire worldview collapse if something's outed as a hoax, right? I mean, I think that there are people in these communities who base their entire careers around a single bit of evidence. And then when that falls through, sometimes they're very hesitant to step forward. Someone who I will sing his praises all day is Peter Robbins. When the Rendlesham case seemed to be less than what it appeared to be, Peter said, yeah, I can't vouch for this anymore, which is a remarkable thing for somebody in this space to do. And I wish I saw more of that decorum from the Bigfoot community in regard to that. You don't, and
because Rendlesham was a great example. Because I feel like that's debunked, but that people don't like hearing that.
Well, and here's the thing: it's like you get into these sort of both and, right? That's the line that I try to toe all the time. This doesn't mean Bigfoot doesn't exist,
right?
It means that we have a piece of evidence that isn't what it appeared to be. It's still a part of the history. I do think it's interesting to see how much of what we assumed about Bigfoot from a primatological perspective is downstream of the Patterson film.
That's true.
To this day, I will still press my copy of Jeff Meldrum's Sasquatch Legend Meets Science into people's hands if they're interested in Bigfoot. It's a great book, but from what I understand, some of the stuff about mid-tarsal breaks and some of this primate anatomy stuff was based on his assessment of the Patterson film. And so for me...
That's the feedback loop that we're probably going to talk about.
Yeah,
as well.
it's the feedback loop, and I'm trying really hard not to have a certain level of Schadenfreude or to sound like, I told you so or any of that stuff, but I do kind of have to smile a little bit when I think about the position that I've been occupying and that Tim Renner's been occupying. That is like, this is the wild man. This is not necessarily a hominid, a primate that you can catch and bag and tag. This seems to be something older and weirder and deeper. You can find antecedents for it very clearly in the old world. And I think that as a lot of the biological stuff seems to have been built on a foundation of sand, we're going to see more acceptance of the high strangeness in Bigfoot reports. And that, again, is at the heart of a lot of what I do, is because I've gotten tired of seeing people be treated as sensible and, foundational witnesses when they see a big monkey cross the road, but then to have their report tossed out when the end of the report is, and it turned into a ball of light.
Right.
It's like, we're all living in glass houses here. This stuff is very strange. I believe in believing experiencers, and in sort of like a flip of Blackstone's formulation, I'd rather believe 9 hoaxers than to toss out one person who's generally wrestling with what they saw.
Summer is here, and if you want to actually feel confident, less bloated, and energized this season, it starts with your gut. I thought bloating after every meal was just normal. It's not. Once I fixed my gut, everything else followed. And the one thing that made the biggest difference is Cowboy Colostrum. Cowboy Colostrum is 100% American grass-fed, made right here in the USA. True first-day whole colostrum packed with bioactives, immunoglobulins, and growth factors. It stabilizes your gut, and the peptides make your skin and hair look amazing. It's the highest quality bovine colostrum you can buy. I started taking it for my gut. The results I didn't expect are the ones that got me. Thicker hair, clearer skin, no more bloating after meals. And I'm not the only one. 83% of participants in Cowboy's clinical study reported improved gut health, 79% less bloating, 72% improved digestion, 62% fuller, thicker hair. And Cowboy Colostrum doesn't strip it down. Whole, full-fat, high-protein, no artificial flavors, no fillers. Vanilla in your iced coffee, strawberry with milk like a milkshake. It's effortless and delicious. And yes, calves get fed first. They only collect the surplus. For a limited time, our listeners get up to 25% off their entire order. Just head to cowboycolostrum.com/yfiles and use code YFiles at checkout. That's 25% off when you use code YFiles at cowboycolostrum.com/yfiles.
I think that's fair. Did you ever get to the bottom of your honeymoon Bigfoot story? That was such a weird story.
No, not to this day. I haven't. Yeah.
Can you tell us what happened? That was crazy.
Yeah, I was being a drunken idiot. So we had gone to Blue Ridge, Georgia, for our honeymoon, which is little did I know at the time, actually a pretty active area for Bigfoot. And I was as always, interested in this stuff, not writing about it, not as immersed as I was. And I was in the hot tub, and I was drunk, and I was shouting across the valley. Beautiful location. But this cabin was at the top of. I've retold it like different times, and the angle of the driveway and the length of the driveway always changes. But let's say something substantial, like between a quarter and half of a mile. I will say, very, very sharp incline. And so it wasn't some place that you just like walk alongside this house and like see this house. So that's all set up. It's all preamble. Because the next day, my wife's taking stuff out to the car for us to go home. And she takes a small bag out, and she comes back in, and she's like, "Why did you do that?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Why did you do that?" And I said, "Well, look, we're,
Your first night.
6 days. Yeah, we're 6 days into the marriage. Why are we, have an argument over this? Like, what is this?" And she said, "Come out and look." And behind, as I recall it, my rear driver's side tire is a rock, like about this size. I used to have a photo of it. I've lost it. But a rock about this size that's like kind of wedged behind the tire. I sure as heck didn't drive over that thing.
No.
Because this was like a staycation. Like, we just sort of stayed in the cabin doing what newlyweds do. So I didn't drive over it. I'm looking around, like there's kind of a garden over here, but there's not a big, because that would leave a hole if you picked it up off the ground. Anyway, didn't seem to have fallen off the side of the mountain, which was all red Georgia clay, because that stuff stains everything. And it was right after this hooping and hollering that I did. I said, I did all that preamble about the length and the angle of the driveway, because if you're going to prank somebody, I don't know if I'd walk up that steep slope in the middle of the night. And if I'm going to put a rock somewhere, I'm going to put it on the hood of their car or on the top of their car. I'm really going to, get to them. But this was just like, hey, stop messing around, leave. Like something like, we're here, we're listening, stop messing around. So that was my first, I call it a Sasquatch adjacent experience. Yeah.
Did you feel like that was a signal? That was a message? That was an invitation?
I'm inclined to now, with the trajectory that my life has taken. There's so many things that kind of came together in that moment, because as is part of my story, I did, this is 2013, 7 years later, checked myself into rehab for alcoholism. So that was kind of an interesting thing to have happened after an especially drunken night.
Wait, what year was that Bigfoot rock? That was
2013.
Oh, that was a big year for you.
Yeah.
What triggered going into rehab, if you don't mind?
Well, so 2013 was the honeymoon, and
because you're, I guess, halfway between being a famous writer and sobriety.
Yeah. It was a weird thing. So 2013 was the Bigfoot rock, and then 2020. I mean, what happened to me in 2020 is what happened to everybody in 2020, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying this to frame it so that people, pandemic'd wrong, right? I'm not saying that, but if you were going to choose an organic inflection point to change your behavior, it seemed like that's what I was being pointed towards.
Mm-hmm. Because everyone was angry, everyone was depressed,
and everybody started drinking more.
I certainly did.
Yeah, and when you start ideating about like checking into a hospital just to get a break, it's like, well, maybe I should actually check into a hospital just to get a break. And there's some.
What was that decision? You woke up and you were like, "That's enough," or was it your wife?
I mean, look, it's sort of like.
I understand.
No, and I'm an open book about this. I'm just trying to find the right way to articulate it. I was obviously doing some stuff wrong. She was obviously doing some stuff wrong. We had twin boys the year before, and that was a weird time to be sort of cooped up with screaming toddlers.
Yeah.
And it was just like just now or never. I can't really put a pin in that moment. I have a friend I mentioned on the Patreon segment, so I don't know if I want to repeat myself here and delete that. But I have a friend who's working on a very interesting book who looked at my birth chart and thinks that it was always going to happen. Something was always going to happen on this particular day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And basically, I was due for a death rebirth narrative of some sort, and I could choose it or I could have it forced on me.
But it's happening either way.
It's happening either way, and so. A bunch of synchronicities clustered at the head of that.
Like,
it was
give us one.
Yeah. It was the feast day. It was August 28th, 2020. It was the feast day of Saint Moses, which was one of the Desert Fathers who lived a life as a brigand until his sudden and instantaneous 180 conversion, which had some significance to me. And the fact that I also went to Mount Sinai, which was Moses' namesake, was the name of the rehab center. My therapist there was my therapist there grew up in Point Pleasant during the Mothman flap.
Wow.
During the collapse of the Silver Bridge.
When John Keel was there.
Yeah, so I got to have like conversations with my rehab therapist about Jungian archetypes and which I mean is not to be unexpected, but also like we could go into like the Silver Bridge and Keel, and it was just.
Did he meet Keel?
No, not to my knowledge. I mean, he was a boy at the time.
Sure.
But it just seemed really odd. I got home and there were, I don't know, I'd probably characterize it as like light poltergeist effects. Like things would be moved in some strange ways. And the most dramatic thing was this synchronicity that I still can't quite explain. But so having twin boys, I get concerned about the software, right?
I know this. I love this one.
The software to upload into their brain, yeah. And so like I'm constantly like revisiting like what do I need to, what have I learned through cultural osmosis, and like I need to teach them about, entropy and the October Revolution and like I don't know, the Battle of Midway and like all this random stuff that I've accumulated. Where did I accumulate it from? So
because you're homeschooling.
Yeah, and and just like even at the time they weren't in school per se, but it was just like got to get on this, and am I fostering an environment where they're going to learn all this stuff? So I said, fine, we've got to start somewhere. Where do I start? And for whatever reason, I seized upon Aesop's Fables. So I was in my aftercare at the time, and I said, okay, I'm going to go home and I'm going to go online. I'm going to order a book of Aesop's Fables because I don't remember where I learned about Aesop's Fables. Do you remember where I learned about cultural osmosis? What was that? But there's a lot of good lessons in Aesop's Fables. So whatever you do, go home, Josh, and learn about Aesop's Fables. Go online, get a copy of Aesop's Fables. Whatever you do, Aesop's Fables. So I'm driving home, Aesop's Fables, Aesop's Fables, Aesop's Fables. And I get home and my wife's like, well, you got to take the boys out for a walk. So it's like, okay. So I'm like, okay. So the entire time around the neighborhood, I'm going, okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get Aesop's Fables into their hands because like, you can learn a lot of foundational stuff and moral stuff and some ways to think is Aesop's. That's what Aesop's Fables is. Aesop's Fables. And I get into the garage and I'm literally taking the boys out of their stroller, and I get a call from my mom. I'm like, I don't need this right now. I need to go in and order Aesop's Fables, right? And she says, hey, we're at the beach, which I knew that they were at the beach, and we're at that bookstore that you always loved. And I just got the boys something that I think they'll really enjoy. Do they have a copy of Aesop's Fables? Now,
we all have this story. Amazing.
Yeah, and you talk to Eric Wargo, and he'd say it was time loops. It was retrocausality. Yep. And I'm not denying that it could be that. But it's interesting to me that the trigger for one of those profound synchronicities, the trigger for all of my profound synchronicities that I've had, has been, that emotional undercurrent. And that sort of, in this case, like a down payment of some sort of life change, death and rebirth narrative, really, quite frankly. So, I admire To the Moon and Back Eric's work, because I think that regardless of where I depart with his perspective on things, something in there is bang on right. I
agree. So for people who don't know Eric's work, maybe explain time loops and where you stand on it.
Yeah, so the idea is that there is neither cause nor effect, but there is these things are embedded in a retrocausal loop, and that oftentimes it is accompanied by the trauma of that experience or the emotional investment, the emotional intention that causes that to manifest forward or backward. And that's a very poor way, if Eric's listening, it's a very poor way of framing it, but go back and watch the episode.
But you were pre-remembering Aesop's Fables.
Right. And I've corresponded with Eric. I've known him for, since the beginning, really. And I think there's a lot to that. I just have some quibbles here and there, which is like what sits at the center of that time loop? It's the idea of like, oh, I solved this great math equation because I came back and gave myself the answer, and where did the answer come from?
Yeah, that's the working paradox.
That's the working paradox, yeah. and I would trust Eric's assessment on why that isn't a paradox and all these things.
And he explains it, and I'm in the same boat. I'm like,
The
work has to come from somewhere, though.
Right, and I think that ex nihilo space, as he's sort of been angling towards in his latest book, From Nowhere, I would argue that that is where the metaphysical slips in, right? You know, and I would point to creation myths for that.
Wow.
And in creation myths, I would say creation myths are stories, and they are words, or they are sung. The world is sung into being in a lot of these indigenous cosmologies. These are themes that you see over and over and over again. So I think that there has to be, again, a both-and model where we are dealing with retrocausality, but we're dealing with some other forces that are not going to correspond to materialism or physicalism. The other thing is, you know, an example that I don't want to turn this into me beating up on Eric because I love his work so much. But
he doesn't watch this show.
I know, but I want to emphasize the amount of respect that I have for him.
Same. He's changed my thinking on how time works.
Yeah. But another thing that I would disagree with him on is that, you know, he was speaking of a patient coming to their analyst with a dream full of archetypes, and the analyst didn't know what it was. The analyst reads in a book the correspondences of these archetypes and informs the patient, and that's what the patient was reacting to, was that sort of fulfillment that their archetypes could be pinned down. But
well, that's Jung's Beetle story, beat for beat.
It is the Beetle story. I just feel like there are plenty of people who go through life and end up embodying archetypes without ever having that payoff, right? Like, I've met these people who are tricksters, or they fulfill the mother archetype, or any number of things, and they never read the red book. You know, they never have that moment where they're being confirmed in terms of how they're behaving. You know, where people have just sort of fallen into these patterns because the patterns pre-exist us all.
So they just exist as this archetype. What do you mean by it never gets paid off?
So I have a friend who has a late friend who was a biker, and he was a rough and tumble kind of fellow, but apparently a sweetheart. And he lost an eye in a scuffle with a gun. And by the time my friend got to know this gentleman, he would often wear a wide-brimmed hat and carry a walking staff because he had some leg problems. And had these two hounds that would sit on either side of him in his living room underneath a stuffed eagle. And he started volunteering at the VA doing therapeutic massage for veterans. That's Odin. Like I don't know.
It's Odin.
That's Odin. And finally, like, after he passed away, my friend approaches his wife and says, "Hey, did he ever say anything about this? Was this conscious? Did he ever know about it? Was this ever in your life?" And she's like, what's Odin? You know? So my point would be that if a lot of retrocausality is contingent upon pre-membering, upon that payoff, that would have made him, oh, I'm being Odin, so that's what made me start acting like Odin.
Right.
That never happened.
No.
You know, and so that's what I would sort of quibble with, is that there's some force that seems to me, and again, if anybody isn't familiar with my work, I'm first and foremost probably a mystic. Like, there seems to be some sort of force that reaches down and seizes us, or, you know, to use one of my favorite definitions of archetypes, as Jung would have put forward, you know, these are riverbeds. That are carved through the landscape. These are furrows with little tributaries here and there. And they can go dry. But once you get a substantial enough rainfall, it's exactly where the water's going to go.
And it's exactly because the two meet is what causes it.
Right. And so, you know, I feel like we are constantly falling into these modes of being a lot more than we consciously realize. You know?
I think you might be right. 2012, 2013. So I know that you're writing press releases, you're a substitute teacher, you're listening to paranormal
a lot of stuff.
You listen to paranormal podcasts. What was just like a Tuesday like for you before this all started?
Oh, before sobriety, it usually involved
sure.
750 milliliters of vodka. Bottom shelf. No, it was
Just what's your commute? You wake up in the morning, you have your flask.
Yeah, I mean, so to sort of summarize my journey, a lot of potential to be an orchestral tuba player in the world of classical music that probably is going to steer you towards higher ed professorship sort of thing, because orchestral jobs, I mean, there are 50 orchestral tuba player jobs. There's one person that fulfills that role in the orchestra, and they keep it till they die. So like you've got to sort of, anyway, long story short, I ended up having some performance injury issues that made it difficult for me to sustain some stuff, to sustain notes. Focal dystonia, it's run rampant through a lot of brass players. I've since recovered because I'm not spending 8 hours, playing all the time, and I took time off. But at the time, it was pretty devastating. So it's like, well, what do I do? Finished a master's in music literature, which is like a musicology light degree. It was supposed to be a performance degree. I pivoted. Then got a second master's in journalism, and then again said, what do I do? The idea was to go into arts journalism. I worked as public affairs director for the University of Georgia School of Music for 3-ish years. And in the meantime, at a university in the summer, there's not a lot going on. So I had picked up a copy of J. Robert Alley's Raincoast Sasquatch, which is a great book. In it, he mentions that, among other things, Alley's perspective is that we are dealing with a hominid, but he pays a lot of attention and respect towards indigenous belief. And in the book, he mentions that the Bigfoot analog for the Kwakiutl in Alaska, the Bequas, is known to give people who are led astray, give them food. Usually it looks like dried salmon, but it's actually tree bark that's been disguised to look otherwise. And if you take this food from the Bequas, you're trapped with the Bequas forever. And I said, wait a minute. This is right out of Western European fairy folklore. If you take food in fairyland, you're trapped with the fairies forever. But Alaska's kind of far from Ireland. Even the cloaking of the bark to look like salmon is fairy glamour. Like there are numerous allusions in Western European traditions where once fairy glamour is removed, the food that they give you is like leaves and twigs and stuff. It's like, that's just so specific to me that I sat with that for a while and I said, look, there's one of three things happening here. Either there was an international civilization that was exchanging myths and legends at a level much deeper than we appreciate, or the collective unconscious is a thing, or people are describing objectively their interactions with the other world. Any three of those, which I think are kind of the only three options that I can figure out, any three of those blows apart your worldview. I said, this is really cool. Nick Redfern should write a book on that. And I sort of sat around and waited for Nick to write a book, because this was in the era when Nick was just pumping them out like every 6 months. I'm like, is it me? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? So one summer I pulled all the resources together and wrote the book that became A Trojan Feast. And I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what my wife was thinking, honestly. But I timed the release with my 2 weeks notice at the University of Georgia. And then it was a while of just playing gigs.
Well, how risky was that?
Well, my wife my wife worked for CDC. So we had a net, we had a safety net. But it was just, I mean, there were a lot of things that contributed to my alcoholism, but having 60 bosses in a university setting is one of them. So it was obviously unsustainable in that regard.
But being a musician author also sounds like a reason to drink to me.
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, you don't know. I mean, it's a musician author, but also like low brass players have a reputation for knocking them back too.
Oh, is that
so
right?
It's like, yeah, so it's like I'm getting Scots. I'm Scottish too, so it's like I've got all the risk factors. I went to school in Wisconsin. I mean, like, it's like a setup for failure in terms of the substance abuse. Anyway, so yeah, it was risky, but it was killing me. And so what I did was I pivoted and I built a pretty good little cottage industry of just gigging and teaching private lessons and doing a lot of like in-school clinics. And then we had our boys, and it became very apparent rather that I was spending all day out just to turn around and give money to someone to watch the kids. So I became Mr. Mom. That sort of brings us closer into 2020, when the Mr. Mom thing was kind of what was making me fall down that rabbit hole too.
Well, hang on a second. Music literature. So you're studying architecture, structure, motif, patterns? Is that informing your methodology with Trojan?
So you don't get out of 2 master's degrees without like kind of appreciating hunting down sources.
Sure.
That's the way I look at it. You know,
Oh, your footnotes are ridiculous. It's half the book.
I got a new one coming out next month that's like 1,300 endnotes, and I feel like I've kind of undershot my goal. But yeah, I try to. Well, that's the problem. That has been historically the problem in this space, that people will just say stuff and not say where to find it. And I could do a little bit better job of pinpointing actual page numbers, but I have my reasons for not doing that.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so we're done downloading Battlefield 5, so here we go. I hope we are good to go on this one. So, let's see here. Where's that? Okay. Gosh, I'm so tired right now. Right, I hope this is going to do, oh, man. Come on, EA! Anti-cheat? Okay. How good of an anti-cheat is your anti-cheat? Is it good as Valorant's anti-cheat? Which is the what is that name? Valiant anti-cheat, I think, which automatically stops the game when there's a cheater around. Gosh. EA Javelin. Javelin anti-cheat? Okay. Play name field missing from the blah, blah, blah. What? What is this? Alrighty. Alright, let's try this. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to find my EA. Is it here? Where are you? EA. Not you. What the fuck? The hell, I am connected to the internet. What the hell? Okay. Oh my god. And yet. Okay, fine. Where is it? Come on. Come on, EA. Battlefield 5. Gosh. What was that? Alright. It's Battlefield 6. No! Dismiss.
Who's that Pokemon?
Provence. Huh. Kiss a T. Welcome in and thank you for the follow. Going on here? Oh. Oh. Solomon Islands, okay. Alright, here we go. Oh, what am I? What am I? Am I a scout? Yeah, what you doing? Oh wow. Oh, wow. Who am I? Wait a minute. What is my name? All right, yeah, okay. Next map. Oh, okay. Another one then? Let's see. Oi! Provence, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it! Oi. Get me in. What do you mean game full? God dang it. Come on. Oi! What do you mean Roblox? Oh, I'm Japan. Yeah, baby. What kind of gun is this? Bolt action. Give me a bolt action.
Losing ground. Take control of the enemy objectives.
Yes, Leon Field. Oh yeah.
Soldiers, capture and hold as many objectives as you can.
Okay. What the? The hell is this supposed to be? Sure. Oh, what's this? What? No! I want to be on the other side. Oi, oi!
Capture the objectives and maintain control of them for as long as possible. We've taken control of Objective Able. taking the advantage in this battle. We have secured objective dog.
Oh, you can swim! Nice! Oh, look at the coral! Oh, look at the fishies!
We have control at objective Baker.
I'm part of this.
We have secured control of objective Charlie. Be sure we keep it. Objective dog has been lost.
Wow! Alright, Zero. Okay, that's how it is, eh?
My legs! I need help!
The hell?
I'm hit! Somebody help! Who's that Pokemon?
God dang it, he's so far away, but yeah, it's fine. Man, the fishies! I love the fishies!
Objective Charlie.
I don't want to die. I can't.
Damn it!
Medic! Anybody!
Attention, we no longer control Objective Charlie. More work to be done. Objective Dog is secured.
Go together.
Oh, it hurts! Damn, it hurts! My legs! I need help!
What are the controls? Let's see here. Options, controls, mark.
Never a moment's rest. You must turn the tide of this battle before it's too late.
Ah, fuck.
I'm hit! Somebody help!
The hell?
I need help! Please!
Objective Dog is under attack.
We need to stop them! I don't want to die! I can't!
Attention.
My
We no
legs!
longer have charge
I need
of
help.
Objective Dog. Our forces now control Objective Charlie.
I can help!
on. Raining. Storm. Oh yes.
Help is on the way! Someone get me out of here! It hurts! Damn, it hurts!
Oh, for crying out loud.
We're losing objective Charlie. Lost our control at Charlie.
Who's that Pokemon?
You must hurry or we will be defeated.
Take this! I don't want to die! I can't!
Yeah, we're losing.
I need help!
We are losing. Yeah, we lost. Hmm. Why not domination? I mean, why not grand operations? I preferred it that way.
We have downed the first enemy soldier. Capture the objectives and maintain control of them for as long as possible.
The hell? Why? The...
The enemy has control of all of the objectives.
Not if we can help it.
We've taken control of objective Able.
Really?
Our situation must be improved.
Not much to shoot from. Not much elevation, not like in the mountains. But it's all islands.
We have established control at Objective Charlie. Objective Able has been lost.
Hell?
I'm with you.
Our forces now control Objective Dog.
Grenade going out!
How to mark? Ah. Soldier request, soldier leaning, no. How do you mark them? Or is it like auto mark?
Attention, we no longer control Objective Charlie.
That one won't be getting out. There!
We have charge of Objective Charlie.
Whoa. Wow, nice, nice.
Pay attention here!
We have control with Objective Easy.
Danger! Over there! Have a look here!
Yeah, we're defeated. Yep. Does it all? All right, let's see here. Yeah, long ago and all that. Is there always Wake Island? Come on, give us something else. Oh, this one. Please. Let me join this thunderstorm. Oh. Oh. Ah. No. Come on, give me. Let's do grand something. You know? I like the gameplay mechanics of Battlefield, but it's just, you know. Why? Why? What is it now? What is it now? We've been summoned. We've been summoned. Yes, how can I help?
Pineapple on pizza.
No.
Good. Cream and a carbonara. Yeah. Cream, bacon,
No.
and cheese.
I'm so sorry.
I'm glad you agree. Break spaghetti in half to cook it.
It depends on the dish
Oh,
that
okay.
you're making. So, you wouldn't break it in half, but you would break it up into very small pieces, about this big. And that is not uncommon
Okay, that's fine.
for soups and things.
Yeah, like a minestrone kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah. Ketchup on pasta?
I'm sorry.
I can do. Cappuccino after dinner?
No.
Is parmesan on seafood pasta?
No.
Oh, I'm glad. Okay, right, you've passed. Flying colours.
Thank
I told my nonna I was doing this interview, and she was like, I have to ask.
Did you?
I have to make sure. Oh, yeah, these are all like Sins.
What's her name?
Italian Sins, Angela.
Angela.
Pineapple on pizza.
No.
Sorry.
Like that. Touch that part of your hand. That's how it feels now. Deep breath. Then move your thumb to that finger. Medium breath. Medium well, and well done. You'll feel that part of your hand get tenser as you move your thumb along. That's how you do it. on, tilt it, rip it, and hold it. Tilt it. Okay, tilt it back and then scrape the top edge. Not. Okay. And flip.
Wait. Oh.
Okay. Not so much. Okay.
That's it.
Moving forward a bit. Roll it back.
Okay. Oh.
Roll forward.
Oh.
Oh, big roll. Okay. Now it's on.
That's so sick.
That's okay.
No. Blah.
So you wanna go in, make sure the knife is in, forward. Oh, now it's in. Go back.
Wow.
Check.
もらってないんだけど。みんな聞いてこい。全然返事。返事もらってないんだけど。返事もらってないんだけど。みんな聞いてこい。全然返事返してくれへんねん。既読つけてくれて、ありがとう。
Oh god. This?
Why? What do you mean? Hey, I want to give you some Country has the kindest hearted people.
Philippines, for sure. Or maybe the Philippines. Of course, Switzerland. Everyone that I've met in the Philippines is super nice. It's the Philippines.
Thailand. I would say like Japan.
I'm gonna go with like the Philippines, Singapore.
What country has the kindest hearted people?
I'm Indonesian, but I would say like the Philippines, to be honest.
What country has the kindest hearted people?
As a German, I think we are definitely not in. I think in Thailand.
What country has the kindest hearted people?
I'll say Philippines.
Why?
Because everyone's so nice there and they have this culture to be nice with people and church. The Philippines, they're lovely. We can go to the Philippines. The Philippines.
Wow. Yep.
Question. What country has the kindest hearted people? Switzerland.
But also in Italy.
Huh? What country has the kindest hearted people?
The Philippines.
that Pokemon?
Keep supporting you. This isn't just a week-long thing. We're gonna keep this going, right? Right? Come visit Henry. He's always here. Well, not always here. You take a couple days off.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm. What? Snow dragons.
That's awesome. Still making the same profit. Have time to do better work. Now you're getting it. Man, I'm getting a ton of referrals at this new rate. That's awesome. Getting so much work, so much more than I can handle. Increase your rate.
What's something you wish you had known before coming to Japan?
They don't really like foreigners.
Why do you think so?
Because I'll be on the train sometimes, and they'll get up and move from where I'm sitting at and go stand up, and I have the whole room to myself. I didn't really expect that. Like, I thought it'd be like, just sit down anywhere.
Relate to this example. When I was sir, what are you fucking meditating? Oh my God, I looked at him just now and he was like this. Mark, nice to meet you. Ron is leaving. Enjoy the moment. See the same answer to the plane. I'm here for you. Even though my function is different. when I was
Oh, that's oh gosh.
to relate to these examples.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Right? Okay. Well, it's all good. Yeah, but let's so multi-streaming is not the problem. It was I think it was Daisy. I think it was. Alright. Well, Battlefield 5 proved it. It's not the stream. It was the probably I'm thinking it was let's see here. All right. What is this? Eh? What is this? A pay? Why is Pioneer doing that? All right. I am going to download. Wait, let me check on Discord first. Change logs, Ratkin level 3, clothing trader. Dear sounds. Alright, just a moment, guys. Be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. Let's see here. Cherno, black market pistols. Move to general trader. Okay. Oh, yeah, missing items. Right, let's take a look if Archon Derail has... No, not Archon. Don't like it. I mean, not that I don't really like it. It's just like, I want something else. You know? So... True Daisy is the one that's causing the restarts. Or at least that's what I think. Let's see here. What games can we play? What are free? What games are free? At Harlan Ellison's I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. River City Girls 2. Yeah. Didn't I have that? River City. Oh, River City Girls 1. Oh! 2 is out. Okay. Yet. Yes, add to my library. Add it to my library. Okay. Haha. Okay, let's see here. River City Girls. Okay. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Shifu. Shifu. Shoot. Thief? Nope. Honkai Impact 3rd.
Who's that Pokemon?
Man, what other games are free? Let's see here. Browse. Oh, it's this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. God dang.
Joyce! Joyce! You hear me?
Dad, where are you?
Keep moving, Joyce.
It's coming! Dad, it's right above me!
Oh man, sorry about that. I was talking all this time. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Da, 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 da. Is this all the free games that you got? Nothing else? Huh? Nah, just kidding. Metal Storm, Warframe. Nah. Is she talking now? The hell game are they playing? Oh wait, is this yeah, it's Green Hell. Huh. What was this? Oh, Kingdom Come. Huh. Pixie Place, nah. Oh, excusez-moi. Okay. What's this place? I mean, oh, Assassin's Creed. What Assassin's Creed are you playing though? That's the question. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're playing Green Hill. Huh. I don't know who else, but yeah, I'm wanting to read out today, so. Uh-huh. Palette cleanser. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, guys. Yeah, I'm going to read out to Leanie Honey. Yep, thank you again for being here with me today. But yeah, I'm thinking, you know what? I'd better get a job. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before 9 o'clock, they get so much done
I am gonna be like, I think you guys know this. I'm more of a night
Alright,
owl.
guys. So yeah, thank you again for being with me today, and yeah, I appreciate you all.
I do get
Let's go ahead and read out to Leany Honey, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow, hopefully. But yeah, again, gotta contemplate on my life choices from now on. Yeah. Thank you so much for the 9 bits, Silent. If only all the bits that have accumulated so far will be able to pay my bills. Just you know me, I'm doing this to somehow pay my bills as well. But yeah. Anyway, guys, so yeah, thank you again, and I'll be seeing you next time. So until then, let's read out to Lean Honey, and I'll see you next time. So, ciao, ciao, ciao. Take care, stay safe, and have a great life. Bye, bye, bye for now.